Hello and welcome to Forever Cricket on Forever Sports. And just when you think that being a PROTEAS fan couldn't get any worse, South Africa lose to Ireland in the second ODI and go 1-0 down in the series. We officially cannot actually win an ODI series against Ireland. That's the reality. That's what actually happened today. We cannot win an ODI series against Ireland. We just beat the West Indies in a T20 series, the reigning World T20 champions, who have just beaten Australia 3-0 in T20s. That team that we beat, well, guess what? The same team has gone across the pond and lost to Ireland today, and are playing just to level the series at the end of the week. It is absolutely unbelievable, and so many players need to stand up and actually take the blame for that performance. It was shocking on every single front. How do you get outplayed by Ireland? Curtis Comfer, playing against the old side, and I was really hoping there was going to be a chance we could, have a go and sort of expose him a bit. Well, he didn't even have to bat because Ireland scored 290 for 5 in their last 50 overs and South Africa managed 247. And to be honest, I look at that and I think that the batsmen and the bowlers are both accountable. In fact, every single person, bar maybe Tabraiz Shamsi and Janema Malan, are responsible. 9 out of 11 players did not pitch up to play cricket today. It's really, really not good enough. And we've got to see changes in the next lineup because there are certain players here who are not justifying their selection. And it's really, really frustrating because, it's a team that has so much potential. And I think it is so, on paper, it's so well-rounded. But people just not putting in the performances. And, they need to look at it. They need to understand what's going on. And just when we thought that we'd have a bit of momentum, we had something good going, and we could sort of make a bit of positivity, we're back in the dumps. It really, really is shocking. It's so frustrating. After such a good tour of the West Indies, you're thinking Test perfect. You're thinking T20 perfect. We'll take that. Some nice performances all around. A couple of people under pressure, but they get against Ireland. We're coming like 11th in this World Series. We're going to end up coming like last at this stage. We can't do anything in this World Series. It's nonsense. We're going to get absolutely smoked in the 2023 World Cup. And the sad thing is, who are we missing today? Lungi Ngidi, Quinton de Kock, and Faf du Plessis, maybe. And Dwayne Pretorius. So you're only bringing 4 players into the side. It's really not good enough. And, today we saw Andy Balbirnie, the Irish captain, take control and take responsibility, as well as big contributions from Harry Tector and a brilliant little cameo from George Dockrell. It was a very good team effort from the Ireland. I mean, it was only Mark Adair who didn't score more than 20, and that was because he only faced 1 ball. But Paul Sterling, 27 runs. Andy Balbirnie, 102. Andy McBride, 30. Harry Tector, 79. George Dockrell, 45. How's that for a batting card? We could not take wickets today. It really, really was poor. You look at the bowlers, and Tabraiz Shamsi, I exclude you because I think you did your job. Probably wanted to take more wickets. We needed to take more wickets than did Shamsi. But Keshav Maharaj also was all right. Probably a little bit more expensive than we would like him to be. But I mean, Akhiso Rabada, our premier bowler, 1 for 58, 10 overs, an economy of 5.8. Amrit Nortje, somebody who's been our go-to to get wickets. Not 1 wicket, 0 for 64, an economy of 6.4. Andila Petlakwayo, 2 for 73, an economy of 7.3 in an ODI across 10 overs. And yet they all finished. We only had 5 bowling options today, so we had to play all 5. It is absolutely nonsense. I don't understand how, our bowlers, some of the best bowlers in the world, can sort of put that performance on. Keshav Maharaj bowled 1 for 50, an economy of 5. There was 1 maiden ball the entire innings, 1 maiden, and that was Tabraiz Shamsi. So he was the only person putting the Irish under pressure. But the Irish, from the get-go, from the beginning to the end, had a free ride. They lost wickets at very, there was no sort of pressure on Ireland. I mean, they lost their first wicket after 64 runs. They were 2 for 124. They were 194 for 3, 284 for 4, 290 for 5. I mean, that is every single time there were partnerships. We could not break partnerships. It was really, really poor. And then in reply, you've got Janema Malan, who I thought played really well today. Probably should have converted. I think he'll be frustrated at how he got out. But you could see, he came out and he was aggressive. And then there was Aiden Mark, who you could see wasn't in the best to touch, really struggling, but instead of sort of hanging in, getting Janema Malan back on strike, sticking in, being a foil, goes for a shot that wasn't on, he gets caught for 5 off 13, a strike rate of 38.46. Temba Bavuma, the anchor, came in, and his first sort of 7-8 deliveries, I sat there thinking, this is why we have him at 3, because he rotates the strike, he's very confident, he's very quick between the wickets, so he can find gaps and take early quick singles, and then boom, cheers, gone, caught, trying to score some runs, 10 runs off 20, and a strike rate of 50. You know, Aiden Markham, Tim of whom are two of the senior batsmen there, far more senior than Jan Milan and Kyle Verreynne, for example. You know, and even Rassie van der Dussen to a certain extent. Rassie van der Dussen probably more senior in Timber in terms of the amount of games played. But Aiden Markham, I think, has played more games after David Miller. I think he's the batsman with the most ODIs. He's played 31 ODIs, has Aiden Markham. Averages 26. You know, just 250s. His ODI career is not good enough for somebody of his talent. Tim Wilman, the captain, had to take responsibility today and go big. Rassie van der Dussen came in and played a very characteristic Rassie van der Dussen innings. It wasn't particularly fast. It was hard working, 49 of 70, and then called LBW. Kyle Verreynne, we know how talented Kyle Verreynne is. Comes in, he's got an opportunity to try and press under pressure. You know, we were. I wouldn't say we were that much under pressure actually when he came in. I thought that 51 for 2 down, that was pressure, but 159 for 3. We needed another 140 odd runs with 7 wickets in hand. You kind of think the likes of Rassie van der Dussen, Kyle Verreynne, Dave Miller, Pet Lequire, Maharaj and Rabada at the end, if they needed to, could get us over the line. But no, that wasn't the case, and that's what the frustrating part was, is the fact that we just never managed to sort of put together our partnerships well enough to be able to mount a decent charge, and we left far too much late. But Kyle Verreynne, for all that he's so talented, to go out like that, I didn't really see an edge there, to be honest. But try to go big, 13 or 16, a strike rate of 81. Dave Miller, 24 of 27. Probably also is potentially on the chopping block, despite being the third highest run scorer. But he came in and had a job to do as the finisher, and then got caught, trying to do that job. Andile Pet Lequire, 2 of 11. When are we going to realize that Andile Pet Lequire is not an all-rounder? He's a bowler that can bat, and I understand he's got a decent ODI average. He's got 250s, but for me, it's the temperament. It's the temperament that sort of that is the reason I will not call him an all-rounder, because he doesn't have the temperament to be able to go in there and just stick around and be able to sort of knock into the gap and play off somebody else. He keeps trying to pull out the stupid reverse sweep that always gets him into trouble. He doesn't score runs off that. You look at his ODI career, and it's 63. It's 63 matches he's got. He's got 63 ODIs, and he averages 31. He averages 28 with the bat. He's got 250s. Strike rate that's decent, but the problem is that when we are in trouble, he doesn't have the patience to be able to come in and knock it around. He's always someone that looks for boundaries. You're looking at his stat. He scored 650 runs. He's got 62 fours and 21 sixes. So 80 boundaries. So that's more than like almost 80% of his runs are actually coming from boundaries, because he doesn't have the temperament to be able to hit a gap, take a single, hit a gap, take a single. Which is what we probably should have done more a bit, I think, when you're struggling to score runs, if you're knocking the ball around, you can go at 6 and over. Guess what? 6 and over was less than what the required run rate was at the beginning of the game. Or else you're looking for 3 singles and a boundary every over, or just a boundary every over. But if you can't find that boundary, stop taking risks, get the ball on the floor, take singles, take it as deep as possible. Give yourself a chance in the last 5 overs. Give yourself batsmen in the shed that they can accelerate. But, Kagiso Rabada then getting run out in the way he did, which, to be fair, I'm not convinced about that. So Kagiso Rabada was run out. Keshav Maharaj, it was a high full toss, and he tries to sort of pull to the boundary. And no ball was not called by the umpires. And no ball was not called, despite how high it was. There was no call from either umpire that it was a no ball. So Ireland caught the ball, threw it back, and Kagiso Rabada and Keshav Maharaj, you could see they didn't really know what was happening because there was no call, but they all knew it was a above waist no ball. And then Ireland took the bails off, and then they went upstairs and they said, no, it is a no ball because of the weight and height. So they said, okay, cool, it is a no ball. And eventually, first of all, they signaled dead ball, and then they came back and said, no, actually, it's a no ball, so which means you can still be run out. But I don't agree. I'd have to go check what the official rules and stuff like. Okay, I haven't looked at the rule book in a while. It's been a while since I've umpired and stuff. But if you do not call a no ball, then as soon as that ball gets caught, it's dead. That is a dead ball. It's the same as if it hits the boundary rope and the umpire signals 4, the umpire signals 6, that becomes a dead ball. That ball, delivery is over. So by virtue of the fact that they didn't call a no ball and they made the catch, for me that's a dead ball. And so what I think should have happened is it should have been a dead ball, and they should have swapped sides, and Maharaj should have had the strike, and it should have been a free hit. So I think for me it was. I mean, lots of people saying that it is irresponsible by Rabada and Maharaj. Get into your crease, finish the delivery, then go have a chat about it. Make sure don't take any chances. So you can't take that chance there. But I also think it was horrendous officiating. To not make that call at all when first of all, you could see, as soon as that comes up, boom, no ball. You got to call it. But there was no signal. Even when he was caught, there was no sort of signal and stuff like that. So you got to get back into your crease. But it really did not look good. I mean, the officials didn't know what was plotting. They had to pitch out to the match referee. It took about 5-10 minutes before they actually made a decision. But Rivaldo was looking better than most people. 16 off 12. Scored more runs than Calvert-Lewin, scored more runs than Aiden Markham, more runs than Mbuvuma, more runs than Pet Lequire. He looks far more like an all-rounder than Pet Lequire does at the moment. Keshe Mara, 17 of 19. Arnold Nokia, 10. Being bowled by Adair. But it's just, to lose to Ireland by 43 runs is nonsense. You've got to start making cheese. First of all, I'm putting Lungi Ngidi back in this side. I think he looked much better on Sunday. Wasn't maybe getting result, but he was looking more economical and stuff like that. So I'm bringing him in. Faf du Plessis has to come back in the side eventually. I think that's the reality. We look at them, we think, what are we going to do with Markham? What are we going to put Faf du Plessis? These players are not performing. Put Faf du Plessis back in. Faf du Plessis has averaged 60 in 2019, 18, and 17. The last 3 years of ODI cricket he has played, he is averaging over 60, or 60 and over. Get him back into the side. Obviously, Quinton de Kock comes back into the side. So at this stage, for the next game, I'm putting Quinton de Kock with Aiden Markham, with the Adam Malone at the top of the order. I'm probably dropping Aiden Markham. You couldn't catch a cold today in the slips as well. You keep Tim Mbuvuma obviously as captain at number 3, and you tell him, listen, you were supposed to be our captain. Go out and actually be a captain. You keep Rassie van der Dussen. Calvert-Lewin probably gets another shot, but do we keep Miller? The problem is if you don't keep Miller, you're bringing in Klaasen. And I don't make Klaasen. So I don't know what changes you make. I think I bring Vian Mulder in for Pet Lequire and say, listen, you didn't contribute with the bat, and you barely contribute with the ball. So we're going to give Vian Mulder a go and see what happens. We've got to be a bit more ruthless here, because really, I cannot believe we actually lost that game. But anyway, we'll have the press conferences up tomorrow from both Balbirnie and Tim Mbuvuma in the morning. So smash a like and subscribe to the channel so you get to see those. Let me know what you thought of that disaster performance. We've got to respond. I know that Ireland are not quite the minnows that we thought they were years ago, but you're not going to go and beat England if you can't beat Ireland. You're not going to go and beat India if you can't beat Ireland. There's no excuses. I understand there was a very good performance from the likes of Andy Balbirnie, and I thought there was a very good bowling performance by Mark Adair and Josh Little, and Andy McBride, who bowled brilliantly today. And in many ways sort of showed us what we should have been doing. But there's just no excuses for that sort of performance. So you better bounce back big time. And then, the T20s, you better whitewash them. And then, lots of questions asked. Because just as we were starting to think, we can get behind this team and, Mark Boucher is getting the players to play better, then we have these days in Afghan. You think, who is our batting coach? What is going on? What's the plan? What's our identity? Do we have an identity? What is going on? It's so frustrating that as soon as we think we have answers, we just bang, a whole lot but not more questions. This team just can't go on a run and just really stop putting our minds to ease. We used to watch series, we would go away, home, day, night, and we just win games. Wouldn't necessarily win series, 5-0, but you'd win 4-1 or 3-2, and when you won pretty comprehensively, and when you lost, it was close. It was against good opposition. That's not the case at the moment. This team has to go on a run. We've got to start getting that arrogance back that we are one of the best sides in the world, and you don't do that by losing to Ireland by 43 runs. Completely played off the park is the reality of it. Let me know what you thought of the game. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Stephen, and I'll chat to you guys soon.